Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello. I know it is a different time, not a different day, but a different time. So, welcome everyone for joining me at a special time for the live stream because my philosophy is I could do it at a different time or I could just not do it at all. And I didn't want to do that to you guys because it's been a couple of weeks since we've done the live stream. And yeah, I figured better to do it at a different time and you guys can see the replay than not do it at all. So introductions are in order. So I will be right back right after this 20-second splash video. If it plays, which it's not playing. Oh boy. I will remind people, by the way, that Mercury has gone direct. We will talk about this in the astro-weather from Therese Reed's wonderful AstroBiz Digest. But Mercury did go direct today after 3 weeks of retrograde action, but we are still in that shadow period, which happens before retrograde and when a planet goes direct. So keep that in mind. All right, let me see here. Intro. Let's see if I can find it. This one. Yeah, this one right here. I got it. We're on it. We're on top of it. Somewhat. All right, be right back. So welcome to another episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. I am your hostess with the mostest, Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, here to demystify the mystical and put you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. So on this episode today, the day of the spring equinox, everybody, in the year of our goddess 2026, we are going to talk a little bit about Ostara, recommendations on celebrating that holiday from my Sabbath series of episodes, specifically the Ostara episode that I filmed back in March of 2021. So we'll see if I can possibly show that. Again, Mercury went direct today, so we might not be able to do that with like some tech issues, but I'll try. If not, I will definitely give you the link to that episode in the show notes. We of course will do the astro-weather, speaking about Mercury going direct, and I want to talk a little bit about the tapping certification that I did with Gala Darling. Gosh, 2022? Yeah. April of 2022 is when I got my tapping certification, as you can see right back here. You might not be able to see it, but I'll just turn the camera this way. That is my certificate of completion of the Gala Darling Method. April 28th, 2022 is when I got certified in my tapping certification. What is tapping, you might ask? I will be happy to explain it to you a little bit later in the episode. But yeah, as I was saying at the top of the episode, we are doing this at a new time, maybe not permanently, but at least for today, because I have dinner plans to celebrate my mother's birthday and my husband's birthday. And so that will be underway right as I usually do the live stream. So my mentality is 'tis better to do it at some point today than to not do it at all. So I hope you all agree, and I hope you enjoy the replay if you're not able to watch the live. So let us start off with the astrology from Therese Reed's wonderful Astro Biz Digest. Astrology in layman's terms, straight to your email inbox. It is geared towards entrepreneurs and business owners, but I have found it to be incredibly helpful in planning my personal life as well as my tarot business. So if you want a subscription for yourself, you can head over to Teresa Reed's website, thetarolady.com/astrobiz digest, and get a copy of yourself. But like, I love it. I've been a subscriber to it ever since she came out with it. Very, very helpful in planning your life, because it is always better to plan with the stars than against the stars. And if you are familiar, even if you're like a very casual observer of astrology, you tend to notice, like, if you work in a hospital or if you work in retail, most people I know that work in those two fields, even though they are completely and utterly unrelated in some ways, they will always mention about the chaos that comes along with a full moon, for example, like emergency rooms. And that same thing is true in retail as well, where it's just like, wow, the customers are really crazy. And it's just like, is it a full moon? Yes, it is. Same thing can be said for Mercury retrograde, because it happens so often, at least 3 to 4 times during the year for 2 to 3 weeks each time. So there's been a lot of people, unfortunately, like Mercury retrograde does get a pretty bad reputation because of that, because it happens so often. But if you learn to work with the energy of a retrograde, specifically a Mercury retrograde, you learn to revisit, you learn to double and triple check your words, you learn to be really careful with your words and with your communication. And you also tend to build in time for travel, for technology, and again, being really careful in your communication, because those are the big 3 aspects that Mercury rules. So when a planet seems to go retrograde from our eyeballs, that's usually those topics that are then affected. Same thing with Venus retrograde. Like, your love life could get a little bit weird, or exes seem to come out of the woodwork. That's what happens usually during a Venus retrograde, or you have like trouble, the same argument that you've always had with your spouse or your significant other. Tends to come up during a Venus retrograde. So wouldn't you think that it's better to know when those things are happening so you can be prepared for it and work with the energy? I tend to think so. So let's start off the episode with the astrology. If people are around for the live stream, even though that might not be the case considering I'm going live at a different time. Ooh. But I will say, if people are showing up here and we reach the mid-episode reading, and someone's here, cool. If no one's here, then we won't do it for tonight. Sound cool? Sound cool? Okay, great, cool. Okay, so, and I also wanted to pull up, I was going to do this. I don't want to have too many tabby tabs open at the same time. So let me not do that. Let me read from the Astro Biz Digest on my phone so I don't have too many tabbies up at the same time and wreck the live stream, which is always possible, especially when Mercury has just gone direct. So speaking about Mercury just going direct, what does that mean? I will tell you right now. Okay. So, AstroBiz Digest, weekly forecast, March 16th to the 22nd of 2026, with a little ram emoji, because we are in Aries season, my friends. My season, my birthday season, my favorite season. Also, as I mentioned, we're not broadcasting at the regular time tonight because I have dinner plans, because my husband is in Aries and my mom is in Aries. So, and I'm in Aries. So that's a lot of Aries energy we got going on here. Like, Like, thank you so much for loving an Aries. Sometimes we can be a little bit much. All right. So Mercury is retrograde, but not anymore. We are direct as of today. So this week's overall transits, we have new moon in Pisces on the 18th, so 2 days ago. If you can take the day off for pampering, it will put you in the right mood to keep on trucking. Yes, I did not have the opportunity for a day off or pampering that day. Oh well. It's also ideal for new creative projects. Perhaps this is your best time to sit down with your team to work on fresh ideas. I've definitely been percolating on some new ideas, guys. So get ready. It's coming. Aries season, like I was saying, is in the house when the sun bounces into the sign of the Ram on the 20th. That is today. After a month of feelings and artsy vibes, this 4-week transit favors launches, bold marketing, business risks, and leadership. We are the first sign of the zodiac. We are in the zodiac new year with Aries. So, Aries, we're the best. Woo! Stand out in your industry, speak out for oppressed folks, pitch new ideas, blaze trails, and try something that scares you a little, like raising your prices. You've got this. You've got until April 19th to rock this vibe before Aries season is over. So, and then finally, get ready to cheer when Mercury stations direct on the 20th as well. Finally, from what I hear, and again, this is from Teresa, plenty of entrepreneurs got their asses kicked in this last retrograde, myself included. Yeah, it hasn't been that great. I gotta admit, it hasn't been one of the worst Mercury retrogrades I've experienced, but it hasn't actually been the best either. So I'll agree. I'll agree. I've heard about website crashes, computer glitches, travel drama, long lines at the TSA, and communication misfires. Now that energy is ready to hit the road. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, Mercury, and don't you come back no more. Give it a few days. Remember, just went direct. We're still in the shadow period whenever it goes retrograde or goes direct. So give it a few days and Mercury will pick up speed. Once that happens, communication will improve, computers will get their act together, and travel should get better. Whew. Okay, so that's the overall vibes for this week. So let's get into the nitty-gritty for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So again, Friday, we talked a little bit about it, about Mercury going direct, about Aries season. So this day is huge. First up, the moon conjoins Venus and stations void at 5:23 a.m., where it remains until 2:35 a.m. tomorrow. That means you'll want to use this period for finishing projects already in motion. You could also choose to call it an early weekend and head out of town if that feels more apt. Aries season arrives at 10:46 a.m., which we already talked about. Mercury stations direct at 3:33 p.m., so we are there because that happened about an hour ago. After weeks of nonsense, the trickster planet is ready to play nice. We talked about that. So today, Friday, March 20th, is a power day for Aries, of course, because it's Aries season, and a weak day for Libra. Saturday and Sunday, the moon is in Taurus for the entire weekend, beginning Saturday at 2:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means you can slow down, rest, make art, or stop to smell every rose. Avoid drama when the moon squares Pluto at 10:56 a.m. The wannabe dictators are loud AF then, which keeps the public distracted. Send newsletters, speak up, launch a podcast, or write your face off when the moon sextiles Mercury at 4:46 p.m. Such good energy for communication. Mars in sextile to Jupiter at 8:01 p.m. on Saturday night casts a 3-day spell for hustle, travel, and major marketing mojo. Hit the road, market hard, and don't be afraid to assert yourself. Sunday finds the sun conjunct Neptune at 7:18 a.m., making the day most excellent for creative self-expression. You can use this day to make content, or you can focus on pleasure. Enjoy your Sunday. So both days, Saturday and Sunday, are power days for Taurus and weekdays for Scorpio. Woo! So, wow. So personally, I usually like to open up the floor to if anyone wants to know about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I will take a little peeksy. Me personally, I wanted to take a look at Thursday because some things happened on Thursday. So wait, did it happen Thursday or Wednesday? Huh. It was Wednesday. Okay. Sorry, talking to myself. Let me see. Venus squared the morning is clear, but things get funky in the afternoon. Venus squares Jupiter at 12:09 p.m., an aspect known for overindulgence and financial extravagance. Keep that in check if you want to avoid regrets. And it hangs around for 3 days, so we're still kind of in that right now, but leaving it. Sun sextiles Uranus at 4:20 p.m. Ideal for group activities, team meetings, big time brainstorming. Lingers for 24 hours. Creating fuel to the fire. New moon in Pisces, 9:23 p.m. So that's the reason why. Okay, it was new moon in Pisces. I get it now. Thank you very much, Teresa, for your Astro Biz Digest. Very, very helpful and illuminating. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Ostara. So let me see if I can show this. Well, I guess I can show it from. I wish I was able to use Be Live in the same way that I used to use it. I can still do it though. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Ostara. So I have done a Sabbath series of episodes on every single, like the wheel of the year. So what that means is like how to celebrate the pagan wheel of the year. Hold on. Let me adjust some things there. Okay. And let me make sure my microphone is still attached. Yes. Good. Okay, cool. So the Sabbath series was a series of episodes that I did on the Wheel of the Year, which is starting with the Witch's New Year of Samhain into Yule, into Imbolc, into Ostara or Oeaster. I'm gonna butcher that. Sorry, guys. Beltane, Letha, Lamas or Lunasa. Lamas. Yeah, Lamas. Wait. That's not correct. Hold on one second here. I do know my Wheel of the Year. Yeah, Lunasa and then Autumn Equinox, which people were calling Maban or Madron, and that is technically incorrect. So we just call that the Autumn Equinox. Even if I've said before it's Maban, it's not Maban. Like I'm trying to correct, like future Hilary is trying to correct past Hilary because sometimes we get our information wrong as we're learning, which is, that's how we learn, right? So that is the Wheel of the Year, basically the turn of the seasons and how to celebrate that. And I did get there's seasonal festivals. and strong energies connected to the Sabbats. They're divided into the major Sabbats of Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lunasa, and the minor ones, which are the spring and autumn equinoxes and the winter and summer solstices. So this particular one that we're celebrating, Ostara, is more of a minor Sabbat. Former Sabbats, the major Sabbats, are linked to the agricultural cycle and would have originally been timed by events in nature. And then the latter, the one that we're in now, Ostara, is associated with the movements of the Earth around the sun. And whilst they have been given set dates, which are included, if you intend to use them for magical purposes, best to seek their actual timing. So I believe today is, in fact, the spring equinox. So, and this is the Real Witch's Craft by Kate West, which I've used as a reference point before for the past Sabbath series. And I also reference Craft, How to Be a Modern Witch by Gabriella Herstick. By the way, this is the UK copy because I like the cover better, the hardcover. It is also called Inner Witch. And that is the paperback version that's available in the United States. So if you're looking for this book and you can't find it, try looking up Inner Witch by Gabriella Herstick. You might be able to find it that way. Same content, just different cover. Okay. Because it was popular demand. People wanted to talk to me. People wanted me to talk about the Sabbats and how to celebrate them both magically and also secularly as well. And so this is more of a magical, like, witchy perspective. Gabby also considers herself a witch, but in this book, she does offer more secular ways. In each of the Sabbats, she offers a secular way to celebrate, which is, I think, really nice. So I'm going to quote from here and here, and then I'm going to attempt to find the Ostara episode specifically that I recorded back in 2021, which is like, I can't believe I've been doing this for like over 6 years now. It's really crazy. Okay, so the spring equinox. So Kate West cites the spring equinox as March 21st, but again, as she mentions, if they've been given set dates. She gave the set date, but it's not going to be always falling on, March 21st. In the case of today, Ostara, it's March 20th. So it's like round about there, but it's not going to fall on the same date every single year. So the spring equinox, this is the day when day and night are of equal length. It is also the festival of the goddess Eostar, a form of Astarte, whose emblems are the hare and the egg of rebirth. Ostara is a time of casting off of the old and taking on the new, hence our modern tradition of spring cleaning, and that can also be a secular way of celebrating this holiday. Traditionally, we use the energies of this festival for clearing out of on the mental and emotional levels as well, to cast off bad habits or old habits and doubts, and to rid ourselves of unnecessary guilt or shame and take on new ways of thought and new aspirations. So that is from, again, The Real Witch's Craft, Magical Techniques and Guidance for a Full Year of Practicing the Craft. Highly, highly recommend, especially if you're working with the energies, or if you're feeling like you're either starting a magical practice, or recommitting or renewing to your practice. I would really recommend, one of the first places to start is to celebrate the seasons and celebrate the cycles and celebrate the Sabbats, and commit yourself to celebrating the Sabbats for a year and a day. And a lot of magical traditions will suggest that is like the commitment that you make to your tradition or to your training or to a partner even. We often say a year and a day. And it's like kind of like a trial period, as it were. But I've been really into the concept of consistency and commitment lately. Maybe it has to do with me feeling like I've fallen out of my magical practices and wanting to get back into them. But I would recommend following the Sabbath, following the wheel of the year, and celebrating each Sabbath as basically a way to recommitting or re-understanding or bringing back those magical energies into your life. It's not that they're gone. They haven't gone anywhere. It's more your understanding. So as soon as you recommit, as soon as you kind of like give that sign to the universe where it's just like, I'm ready to study again, or I'm ready to, feel these energies again, you will. I promise you will. So that's Ostara from The Real Witch's Craft. And by the way, if you are doing that and you happen to be doing that and you haven't started the Wheel of the Year from the beginning, that's okay. Just start from the nearest Sabbath that you're to. So like right now, if you're looking to, recommit, you can start by celebrating Ostara. And here are some ways to do that. And then continuing on to Beltane, then continuing on to Letha, then continuing on to Lunasa. So from Craft, aka Inner Witch by Gabby Herstick, Ostara, the Spring Equinox, is around the 20th to the 23rd of March. Marks the first official day of spring. The return of spring is celebrated all over the world, from the Christian Easter to Jewish Passover to the Iranian New Year, known as Nowruz. For witches, the spring equinox is called Ostara, named after the Germanic lunar goddess, an embodiment of the great goddess who gave birth to the sun god at the winter solstice. As an equinox, Ostara is a time for balance and for equilibrium. The spring equinox is a reminder that it's time to celebrate and plant seeds, both metaphorically and physically, for what we want it to bring to bloom in the upcoming season. It's also a time when we honor all things we've achieved since the winter solstice as well. So think about those cross quarters. Like, what is the cross quarter to the Sabbath you happen to be celebrating? In this instance, well, hold on one second. That's a little bit weird. Well, I mean, it is a good consideration to think about from when you celebrated the winter solstice, but I would have more recommended that 6 months time period. So right on the cover of The Real Witch's Craft, you have the entire wheel, so you can look across to see that Madron, or what they call as Madron, the autumn equinox, is directly opposite the Ostara, the spring equinox. So you also can consider not just the winter solstice, what you've been planning and cultivating from the winter solstice, but also what you have been cultivating since the autumn equinox. And the way to do that would be go back in your journals, if you keep a journal, and see what it was that you were dealing with. What was it that you were writing about back in August? And is that situation, is that problem, is that circumstance still applicable, or are there new circumstances that you're now dealing with? So it's time to bloom, breathe, create, procreate, and reap the sweetness of what we've manifested as we're brought even closer to delight. You can decorate your altar with any flowers, especially in warm colors, black and white candles, seeds, citrus, fruits, pomegranates, honey, citrine, clear quartz, aventurine, or an offering of milk or honey for the fairies. Tarot cards such as the High Priestess and the Nine of Cups may also adorn your altar. Non-ritual ways to celebrate and more secular ways to celebrate: plant flowers or garden, take a walk in the sun and talk to the trees, spring clean your home and donate old clothing to charity, Collect flowers and press them in a vintage frame. Enjoy a picnic in the park or a field. Swim or lay outside naked with the sun kissing your skin. Again, this is weather dependent, guys. So I'm not saying go out in the frigid cold and freeze your buns off. But if the weather allows for it, certainly go outside and enjoy the sun. The sun has decided to go inside. It's a little bit cloudy, and I think we have rain in the forecast a little bit later. So I will try and enjoy the sun knowing that it's behind the clouds. And then she also has a suggested ritual, a plant meditation for growth and spiritual connection, which I'm not going to read from here because I don't want to give away the farm. If you'd like to pick up Craft or Inner Witch by Gabby Herstick, lots of interesting things on the Sabbats, as well as tarot, fashion and glamour magic, green witch and earth magic, moon magic, crystals and astrology, and creating a grimoire. So you can check that out. Now then, let's see. I am going to see if we can share screen here. And find the Sabbat series. Playlists. So let's take a look at the playlist. Perfect. Yeah, we've got it right here. All right, let me share my screen and I can show you. So right here, we have all of the Sabbat series. I'm going to go ahead and hide our mid-episode reading because I don't think that's happening tonight, guys. All right. Let me focus more on this. Perfect. There we go. So hopefully you can still hear and see me, but also see what I'm trying to convey here. So we do have the Sabbat series. We have all 8 Sabbats of the Wheel of the Year, some more than others. So there were a couple of episodes that I did more than once. So let's see. So we have the intro of it. We also have them in order as well, from Samhain to Yule, to Imbolc, to Ostara, to Bealtaine, to Letha, to Lunasa, and to the autumn equinox. Oh, good. I actually did call it the autumn equinox. Good for me. Well done. So let's take a look, first of all, at the intro, and then to a little bit of the Ostara episode. But I'm not going to take up, we're not going to watch the whole thing, guys. You can definitely watch that episode in your own time if you would like to. So hello and welcome to the Sabbat series playlist on YouTube. I'm so happy that you're here. If you don't know who I am already, I am Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com. There's my website right there. Professional tarot reader and EFT practitioner, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. So this playlist is in order of the Wheel of the Year, and it is my Sabbat series of episodes that I did do live. So these are replays, but take a look and enjoy. They are ordered in the Wheel of the Year, starting with, in an order of celebration, starting with Samhain, which is typically considered the witch's new year, and ending with the autumn equinox. So there may be a couple of episodes in there of the same Sabbath, and I have ordered those accordingly. So there might be multiples of Yule, for example. There may be multiples of Samhain, for example. But take what you will, and I hope you get a lot of information out of this. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, Hilary@tarotbyhilary.com. And feel free to book a reading or an EFT session with me by going to my website, tarotbyhilary.com. Enjoy. I hope you get a lot out of this series. So let's skip down to Ostara. Yep, an hour and 40 minutes of Ostara goodness. And also, I think I included Deliverance too. I'm not listening with headphones here. I don't have any audio plugged in. So hopefully you can hear me and see me. And it is once again, another Friday night episode. And tonight's episode, we will get into it. We're talking all about the holiday of Ostara, otherwise known as the spring equinox and the first day of spring, what it means to me, some rituals, some practices, some food to eat, spring cleaning, finding balance, all of that kind of stuff. So that is the episode for tonight, and we'll get into it a little bit later on in the broadcast. First of all, what I need to do is I need to set us up for our Instagram feed, because I am simulcast. Circle Light. First, Inspirational Techniques to Heal Your Home is another book that I would recommend. And he's a specialist in space clearing, with, of course, expertise in root work and shamanism. So I'm going to rewind a little bit. Ostara is the spring equinox. So they would be experiencing the autumn. Why Aries, what is the first sign of the zodiac and are the born leaders of the zodiac, because we are the first sign of the astrological Armand's deliverance, hoodoo spells of uncrossing, healing, and protection. So there's a lot of, yes, this is a book about uncrossing, healing, protection, but a lot of this book has a reference to spiritual and energetic hygiene that has its roots in cleansing, physical cleansing, cleansing of your home, cleansing of your space, cleansing of your body. So this time of year is a really great time, not only to do energetic cleansing of your body, but it's also a great time to get rid of your clutter, do some spring cleaning, open up the windows, let the fresh air in. It is in keeping with the spring equinox, that first day of spring. And we got some hellos happening in the chat here. Awesome, great, love that. So, some of this stuff where there are spells of uncrossing, healing, and protection, sometimes you don't need an uncrossing. Sometimes you don't need a protection spell. Sometimes you don't need a healing spell. What you do need is your baseline spiritual hygiene to be in order, your baseline spring cleaning to happen. If you go back to that and you do it on a regular basis, you won't have to do, or you may not have to do, an uncrossing or protection. So really great book. This is the cover of the book, and Zuri is giving us a big love that book. Yeah. And so I do want to point out his other book, which is specifically about cleansings as well. Let me see if I can look it up here. And if people know it off the top of their head, let me know. So this is a really, really great example of past Hilary reading me to filth without even knowing it, because having that reminder of energetic cleaning and spring cleaning, and having that be your baseline and making sure that you're doing all of that consistently. Again, I just mentioned about this consistency, and that I'm really, really into consistency and commitment. Having that be the reminder or the thing that I randomly like hit upon while we were revisiting the Ostara episode that I filmed 5 years ago, guys, five. Um, it's a really great reminder that you might not need spell work. You might not need a love spell or a protection spell or a luck spell or prosperity spell. You may just need to do some energetic an energetic cleansing and energetic hygiene to be able to get those things, because if you're not doing that, you could be blocking those things subconsciously by, like all of the stuff that's in the way. If you just do regular limpiezas or cleansing baths. And by the way, we have done episodes on cleansing and energetic cleansing and spiritual cleansing. I'm pretty darn sure after the 6 years of doing these episodes, we've definitely done an episode on that. So it's a great reminder that before you get all the stuff to do the spell, like maybe clean out your bedroom or your kitchen or or your bathroom. Maybe do a little bit of feng shui before you reach for the nearest candle to do yet another prosperity spell. It may be that you just need to do the cleansing to kind of get yourself a reset to be accepting of that energy and that wealth and that prosperity and that abundance. So yeah, curveball. So that's Ostara in a nutshell. And I will definitely put in the show notes the link to that particular episode and a link to the Stab-It series of episodes as well. Again, it's on my Tube of You channel, which I try to keep really clean and updated, and playlists are in order. So I will link directly to that episode, and I will also link directly to the Stab-It series of episodes as well. Okay. And I'm doing that right now, right as I think about it, making sure I'm updating the show notes, and that's all going to be there for you. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's see. So a couple of final things, a little clerical things, before I leave you with the weekend forecast oracle card, which I will pull in our grand tradition of pulling from the instant guidance on Rebecca Campbell's website now, because that way I can get access to not only the two oracle decks that I already own from her, but I can also get access to the messages from some of the oracle decks that I don't own, but will probably eventually buy. So, but before we do that, let me pick up some of these linky links that I have. But I don't have to do that now. I don't have to necessarily share those links now, but I did want to talk a little bit about, as I said in the description, the High Vibe Honey and tapping certification with my tapping teacher, Gala Darling. Like I was saying before, I've got my certification right over here. I've been a certified EFT tapping practitioner for the last, is it 4 years? 2026. Yeah, it'll be 4 years at the end of April, because I completed my certification in 2022, April 2022. And so there is a couple of deals going on a couple of affiliate links that I've got for you guys if you are interested in tapping, which I have talked about before in the broadcast. And let me tell you, and I've done a couple of tapping videos for you as well, and we've done different tappings on different topics. I'm always open to hearing what your recommendations are for or suggested topics for a tapping sequence. Like there's one for anxious bedtime brain. So basically going to sleep and kind of putting your anxious bedtime brain to rest by using this tapping sequence. So that is available on my Tube of You. We also have tapping when life seems to give you a shitty hand. That's another one that I did. And it is in combination, I believe, with tarot as well, which is one of my modalities, is combining tarot and tapping together. And I think that the reason why I was so attracted to doing this tapping certification, which was definitely a choice, it was kind of a no-brainer decision. And I know that I read tarot cards for others, but oftentimes when I'm faced with a decision, I will not pull cards for myself, nor will I ask another of my tarot reading friends to pull a card for me. I mean, it's always nice, and I will sometimes ask for confirmation. But most of the time, when I know a decision is right for me, it's very much a heart-centered decision. And that is what happened when Gala first opened her method of tapping, basically tapping without scripts, and basically using your intuition and to guide you on what to say. And that was one of the big things that I had. That was one of the things that I wrote down about my fears doing the certification. And I can say that with great authority because here's my guidebook for the method, the Gala Darling Method. Back in April, when I was about to graduate, I wrote, looking back, it's amazing how much fear I had at being seen, about being worried that I wouldn't have the words. That was my, what are the right words anyway, for tapping or for life even, of making mistakes or being no good at it. Many of these fears were the same as when I started my tarot journey. And Gala herself actually pointed that out to me. And look, now I'm writing a book that will be published in November, referencing, of course, my tarot book, How to Read Tarot. My first ever book came out back in 2022. So having that validation from my past notes, and knowing where I was to what I became for tapping, where it's just very second nature for me, and I can guide myself through a tapping and I can guide other people through a tapping. I want to be able to share that certification with pride, and with also letting people know, hey, you can do this too. The same way I talk about tarot, I'm starting to talk about tapping, where it's just hey, I'm not I think there is natural talent, of course. So maybe I have a little bit of natural talent for tarot. But it also took a lot of hard work and a lot of unlearning, as it were, to get me back to the place where I can trust my intuition. Because a lot of us, and this is something I firmly believe, I talk about all the time, I even say it on the live stream every time I broadcast, where it's just yes, you too, putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, you have it. Don't argue with me. You have it. I think we are very intuitive creatures as we are younger, and as we start to grow up, we kind of grow out of it. And I think or grow jaded and think that can't possibly be true, or how the hell did I know that? Because there's no logical way that I could have known that. And it's just it's not about logic. It's about intuition. It's about the collective subconscious and the collective unconscious, and the fact that we can tap into way more information and way more knowledge than we ever could imagine. But then when we grow up, we kind of talk ourselves out of it. And then the act of reclaiming our intuition and finding our intuition again is basically the act of unlearning. Anyway, that's my belief. So with tapping and with taking the certification, like many of the decisions that I've had to make in my life, it was very much a heart-based decision. And it was very much a fuck it. What do I got to lose? And yes, it's not inexpensive, but I feel like, well, first of all, I earned my money back immediately. And that's, again, your results may vary. If you want to choose to take your tapping certification and bring it out into the world and tap with others, you certainly can, and you can certainly make money doing it. But what I found was that tapping for me was much more spiritual hygiene. There I go again. Energetic hygiene, spiritual hygiene, and emotional regulation. And the more I tap every day and the more I look around the world, I realize how many adults are walking around emotionally dysregulated and not knowing what to do and putting that on other people. Do you want to be a part of that problem, or do you want to be a part of that solution? So even if your intention is to not use this with other people and to just use it for yourself, I think it is well worth it. So what I'm referring to is both Gala's group tapping membership, which is High Vibe Honey, and her certification in her tapping techniques and practices so that you can become a certified tapping practitioner through the Gala Darling Method. Those are the two things that I'm referring to. I am a member of High Vibe Honey, which is the group tapping. It happens every Sunday. Replays are always available. It's really fun to attend live, though. You'll really get a lot of benefits out of it. And then also you have her app for High Vibe Honey, which is so much more than tapping. It's a lot more than tapping. And some of my exclusive tappings are also in there. So that's number one. Number two, she is doing a live stream webinar on March 29th. And I'm trying to, where did I just put it? I swear, I just had it. Hold, please. Because I sent it to myself and now I don't remember where the heck I sent it. Aha! I found it. So many people would probably say that EFT tapping is not considered a spiritual practice, but like I feel like it's a spiritual practice. And I tap every day as part of my emotional regulation. And I can't believe other grown adults walk around without, not regulating themselves and expecting others to deal with the fallout of their lack of emotional regulation. And I'm also convinced that more spellcasters and pagan leaders should learn about tapping for themselves, for the greater community. So like that's my little like soapbox, which I will get down from now. But anyway, Gala is going to be hosting a free class called Stay Regulated in a World Gone Mad. Like I was just referring to, and that's happening on March 29th. So I hope you will join us then. And you also have, like I was saying, you also have a lot of access to the tapping. So if you want to like try before you buy or try out tapping to see if it's like right for you, there are ways to do that, not just through me, even though I have created a playlist of tapping sequences, not just from me, but from other people. And I've done every single one of them. I have not added them to the playlist willy-nilly. I have done every single one of them and found it to be very effective. So I would say, what is this tapping? If you're wondering, what is this tapping and what can it do for me? I would try out a few. Like, think about a topic that you've been, or an issue you've been struggling with for years, especially one that is just like you're at your wit's end. Like, my insomnia is like getting ridiculous. Like, and I've tried absolutely everything, but have you tried tapping? There was actually a friend of mine that is just like right after I had gotten my tapping certification, he was saying to me, and it was just like a random conversation while we were playing video games, and he was just like it's driving me crazy, like I just can't, like I'm so anxious, and that anxiety causes like restless nights, and then I can't get to sleep, and da 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 da. And I just started talking to him a little bit about tapping, and I was just like, listen, I think I can help. And it's just like, but it's just like when you've tried everything, that's usually when a lot of people find tapping, when they've tried absolutely everything. And it's just like, well, maybe you haven't tried absolutely everything, and maybe tapping could work for you. It's used on many different things. I've yet to find something that it doesn't work on in some way, shape, or form. Because, as Gala likes to say, you could change. There's two solutions. You could either change the problem, or you can change how you feel about the situation. And either way, it's a change. So the tapping might not help you change the issue, but it might help you change how you feel about the issue. So I would give it a try. All right, let's wrap up. And so I will include those links in the show notes as well. So let's wrap up with the weekend forecast. And let's get it from our friend Rebecca Campbell, creator of the Star Seed Oracle and the Work Your Light Oracle and the Sacred Stones Oracle and various other oracles. Let's press the instant guidance button and see what she has to say for this weekend. Wow. This is actually not an oracle card, but that's okay, because I'm just going to read it anyway. All right. So this instant guidance does not come with an image. It is simply page 217 of her book, Letters to a Starseed. And I feel like that was maybe her second book, third book. I don't know. Not her newest book for sure, but. And our weekend forecast is called The Great Reunion. There will come a time when the souls of the unknown meet the family of humanity, when we'll no longer relive the agony of separation through erecting borders, fences, and walls. When we'll realize that each one of us, is made of the same ancient star stuff in body, mind, bone, and soul. The earth and the cosmos breathing itself in and out since the beginning of the circling of time. When we'll find our way back to each other, for our survival depends on each other. When we'll embrace our differences and our similarities. When we'll know that change isn't only inevitable, but our most natural state. When we'll be reunited with our brothers and sisters of planets and stars familiar. When hearts will be wide and communication will be free. When home will be everywhere, 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 everywhere. Where we will cast a circle of love around all of humanity. That day is coming. That day is near. That day is coming. May it be almost here. So very soothing and kind of, I guess, appropriate message for Ostara and for living in a world gone mad and all of the stuff that we just talked about. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for watching the replay if you choose to do so. I appreciate it. Thank you to my regular viewers that might be expecting the live stream an hour and a half from now and are disappointed that they missed it. I'm sorry. I appreciate you. And I figured, like I said at the top of the episode, I figured better to do it at a different time than to not do it at all. So I appreciate it if you sat down to watch this today or any day. Didn't have to be March 20th. Could be whenever. Things are timey-wimey like that. So once again, I am Hilary, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, here to demystify the mystical and put you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Happy Ostara to those of you who celebrate. And I will catch you again next time. Bye.